Why the Boston Red Sox have to consider trading Triston Casas this offseason.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's all free. So make sure that you tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the show. We are getting closer and closer to winter meetings. The GM meetings are taking place right now. And Craig Breslow expressed a lot earlier in the week about how he's planning on really going for it this offseason. He said his biggest priorities are to acquire a true number 2 starting pitcher to pair with Garrett Crochet and also to add a middle of the order power bat. Now, of course, it's easier said than done to just say that. So from a fan perspective, I'm saying I'll believe it when I see it. But on the flip side of that, he did show last offseason that he was willing to make big moves. So I'm not going to sit here and assume that's not going to happen. But it will be incredibly underwhelming and disappointing if it doesn't. So on today's show, could trading Triston Casas be possible? As well as could Garrett Crochet win the Cy Young because voting results come out today? And Roman Anthony's impact on this Boston Red Sox team. But I know I've talked extensively about potential trades and how the Red Sox are obviously going to have to move one of their outfielders this offseason. There just really isn't room around that. There just needs to be a way in which they can get one of them to another team and get really good value in return because they just have an overcrowded outfield. So that's one scenario. That's a given for sure. But what if the Red Sox considered trading Triston Casas this offseason? Now, before you say no way, hear me out. It could complicate things a little bit from a trade perspective because of his injury. Obviously, he went down in May, and it was tragic. It was really hard to watch live, the injury. And then it was announced that he was going to miss the rest of the season with a ruptured left patellar tendon. And that was heartbreaking. It truly, truly was. So now we're sitting here in November, looking back on the season and thinking about what the Red Sox needs are and what they could do to upgrade certain positions. Now, Triston Casas, it was believed early on, would be the Red Sox first baseman of the future. There wasn't really talk as much about anything else. But now, because of his recent injury and the way that the Red Sox have talked about him, they haven't been fully in on committing to him long term. That seems to be a hesitation with the Red Sox front office. And if they are having any doubts about Triston Casas being the first baseman long term, now is the time to consider maybe moving him to try to really bolster the rotation and retool the roster around strikeout heavy arms. This would be the time to put Triston Casas on the trading block if they want to risk him coming back and then his value decreasing even more if he's not effective coming into the season in 2026. Now, obviously, teams might be hesitant to give the Red Sox the type of return that they would want because of the fact that he was injured for most of the season in 2025, and he also missed a good chunk of the season in 2024 with an injury. So I could see other front offices being a little bit hesitant to make that kind of trade, which is why the Red Sox would need to be prepared to give up more. If they were to give up Casas, they could probably enter the conversation with Casas, Duran, and a top prospect for a proven starting pitcher for a first base needy team. Now we look at the Tigers, for example, and the possibility of Tarik Skubal going on the trading block. If the Red Sox are really interested in him, which they no doubt should be if he becomes available, you throw both of those names in there. You throw one of your proven outfielders in there since you need to move one of them anyway. You throw Triston Casas in there. And then because you're looking for a power bat to replace Rafael Devers essentially in the lineup because you never really replaced that when you traded him, that's the perfect spot for Pete Alonso to come in and be the first baseman for this Red Sox team, and he would help bolster that middle of the lineup. So then you're kind of killing two birds with one stone there and getting two needs in one. So they would have to aggressively pursue him and go after him. I don't think that they would trade Casas prior to acquiring a player of that caliber, but I know the Red Sox will definitely be in on a guy like that. And if they're successful, then the next step would probably be to move Triston Casas and take that and use it to their advantage to try to get proven starting pitching back. Now, here's the thing, and here's what the Red Sox can sell another team on. When healthy, Triston Casas is truly one of the most disciplined left-handed bats in all of baseball. His blend of power does make him attractive in a trade, especially if it can be a piece for any club that's looking for a long-term middle-of-the-order presence. Because he's still young, a team could use that to its advantage. That's maybe a little bit more on the rebuilding side, or just needs to solidify a young middle-of-the-order presence to continue to help with wherever they're going next. That is exactly why the Red Sox should consider moving him, because his perceived value still outweighs his proven durability. Obviously, the injury will be taken into account, but because the Red Sox are in a good spot with their ability to trade people, they could easily sell a team on saying, you know, if Casas is healthy, he's going to be an absolute stud for you, which 100% is true. I feel like we just didn't see 100% of what Casas could do and where he was at in 2025 because of the injury. But if he's able to stay healthy, the ceiling is very, very high for him. So that's where the Red Sox could sell to another team and say, hey, you would really be happy with Triston Casas if you were to trade for him. Now, as of right now, he could be primed for a role as a starting first baseman for many teams, because you look at teams like the Twins and the Brewers, they could use a first baseman, but he also could be used as a DH depending on the situation. And that would also open a lot more windows that include just hitter-hungry teams in general, like the Tigers, who I mentioned, the Royals, and the Mariners, teams that just need more offense generated. He could be a good fit in those types of places, especially if he could DH. Minnesota has been looking for offensive stability at first base, and Casas would slide right into that rebuild alongside Royce Lewis and Byron Buxton. The Twins are in a really interesting spot right now, and especially with Joe Ryan being somebody who the Red Sox are very much interested in and tried to trade for at the trade deadline, and it fell through. This could be a conversation starter in a potential Joe Ryan trade, like, hey, you know, you want a first baseman, we can give you a young one who's under team control, who you can continue to develop in your system on your roster. Triston Casas is so talented and has a ton of upside. That could be something that appeals to them with a few more pieces from the Red Sox to get a Joe Ryan trade done. In Detroit, that thought is also similar. I bring up Skubal. The Tigers could use another impact left-handed bat to support guys like Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson. Kerry Carpenter is another good one. Now that Gleyber Torres is a free agent, Detroit does need a fourth man, assuming he doesn't come back, which he could. But since the Red Sox likely, at least should, be targeting Tarik Skubal, this might require some extra effort to get a deal done. And if the Tigers want more than one centerpiece, the Red Sox could sell them on both Casas and Duran in order to get that done. The Royals also have shown a big willingness to add MLB-ready bats, while the Mariners have also been searching for a lefty power presence for years. Only having Josh Naylor for half a season doesn't exactly work in their favor. So Casas would absolutely thrive in a lineup that needs his patience and pop, which makes both of those teams a fit. And again, we think about teams that have something intriguing to the Red Sox, starting pitching, they could open up the conversation with Triston Casas, because if teams hear the name Triston Casas, they definitely know there's some upside there. I mean, he's talented. He's put together some impressive career numbers overall. Obviously, 2025, we don't really count because he only played in 29 games. But in 2023, when he played in 132 games, he had a 263 batting average that season in particular. And he also, on top of that, in that season, had 24 home runs and 65 RBIs. So that was a big season for him. 2024, he played in just 63 games because he was hurt again, but he had a 241 average, 337 on base percentage, and 462 slugging. So he went from a 263 to a 241. So obviously not the biggest drastic drop, but dropped a little bit. And again, that goes back to his health. So he definitely can provide a lot of value offensively if he's healthy, especially to a team that is looking to just gain a strong young presence in the middle of their order. He'll be a great power piece for any team that is interested in him. Whether he does well for another team, obviously we won't really know till he gets there, but he'll be a good option for the Red Sox to shop this winter. Because again, at this point with where the Red Sox are at, the mindset needs to be improvements, improvements, improvements. What can we do to upgrade positions that need upgrading? What can we do to put ourselves in a position to be more likely to go to the World Series? And if trading Triston Casas and upgrading first base is the way to do that, then you 100% do that. And yes, I cut him some slack because he started off the season very poorly in 2025. And I kept saying, let's wait and see if he gets going. Then, of course, he got hurt. So we never really got to see that upward trajectory. So if he had played more of the season, it really makes you wonder. But the Red Sox, if they do decide that they want to try to shop him, they have to emphasize the ceiling there and the potential, because he was a top prospect for a reason before he got called up by the Red Sox. So there's definitely potential there. The Red Sox should definitely at least consider including him in a trade, because then they can go hard after Pete Alonso, and he would definitely be a guy that could help get the Red Sox potentially to the World Series next year. Coming up, though, could Garrett Crochet realistically win the Cy Young? That's next. I just used Game Time yesterday actually to purchase tickets for the Patriots-Jets game on Thursday Night Football, because the prices were so good on Game Time that it was too good to turn down. It's the best ticketing vendor because it shows you the view from your seat, so you make sure it's not obstructed, and it gives you so many options at more realistic prices than other vendors. So that's why I highly recommend it. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. I'm telling you to definitely use Game Time the next time you're ever looking for last-minute tickets, but the Red Sox are in the midst of an offseason in which it's going to be highly crucial for them. They are going to need to make some big moves to make this Red Sox team a true World Series contender in 2026. Because in 2025, we could see that they were going to be competitive. They had a lot of good young talent, but they weren't quite there yet at that level to where they would be a true World Series team. And part of that is because they had injuries, for sure. But part of that also is because they had question marks, especially in the area of starting pitching, where they had their number one, their ace, but everybody after that was kind of a 3-starter or a 4 or a 5. They didn't really have anybody who was a solidified number 2, which is something they should be on a mission to go out and get this offseason. But one thing is definitely for certain, and there's no denying it, and it's the fact that Garrett Crochet 100% was the ace that the Boston Red Sox needed in 2025. Watching him was so much fun, and it was cool being able to look back on the season and say, wow, we actually had a true number 1 starting pitcher for the first time in a long time. Over the 2025 season, he had a record of 18-5 with a 2.59 ERA over 32 games started. He threw 205.1 innings with 255 strikeouts and a 1.03 whip. I mean, you can't say enough about him. He, in terms of advanced metrics, 90th percentile in chase percentage, which shows that his off-speed pitches that go off the plate are on point because he's fooling opposing hitters with that pitch. 93rd percentile in strikeout percentage, 87th percentile in walk percentage. He really doesn't walk guys much, and he strikes out a lot of guys. That's ace caliber stuff. Lots of swing and miss stuff, and guys who don't lose their command and don't walk people a lot. He has 5 pitches in his arsenal that he utilizes. A 4-seamer, what he uses the most at 36% of the time. A cutter that he uses 28% of the time. A sweeper 16% of the time, and a sinker 16% of the time, and then a changeup that he uses just 4% of the time. So we really don't see that changeup much at all, especially compared to the other pitches. But if you have a 5-pitch arsenal, you are going to be able to succeed more at the highest level because you have more pitches that you can use to fool opposing hitters. It's really tough if you just have 2 pitches that you utilize, because if hitters are continuing to see those same pitches, it's going to be a lot easier for them to figure you out. So if you have a 5-pitch arsenal like Crochet does, it's going to be very difficult for opposing hitters to succeed against you. And that's what we found from Crochet over the course of the 2025 season. And like I say a lot on this show, you go back and you make that trade 10,000 times over. I know they gave up some good prospects for him. I know Kyle Teal is kind of a stud right now for the White Sox. I know Braden Montgomery is going to be a stud, but this was all worth it to get your number one. If you want to be a World Series team, you have to make hard decisions sometimes when it comes to players. And that's exactly what the Red Sox did. And that's why I'm hoping they mimic similar behavior this offseason and try to go big to either trade for or sign a true number 2 starting pitcher. And what's crazy is they could end up with 2 number 1s, because the guy who is the direct competition for Garrett Crochet winning the Cy Young is Tarik Skubal, who could be on the trading block this winter. And if that's the case, the Red Sox 100% should go after him, because imagine having 2 number 1s next to each other. So with the Cy Young voting concluding, the question now is, could Garrett Crochet win it? Now, this is very difficult because he's going up against Tarik Skubal, who just also had a phenomenal season. So in terms of earned run average, Tarik Skubal was first with a 2.21, whereas Garrett Crochet was third. If you don't count his postseason start, he had a 2.59 ERA, a 2.69 ERA technically at the end of the season. In wins, Tarik Skubal was tied for 11th with 13, and Garrett Crochet was tied for second with 14. So obviously he just had one more win than Skubal did, but there were just a bunch of guys who had the same number of wins as Skubal. So in terms of strikeouts, Crochet has the edge there. 255 strikeouts for him compared to just 241 for Skubal. I mean, I say just 241 is a lot of strikeouts, but it is proving a point that Crochet leads him in that category. Crochet also leads in innings pitched with 197.1 compared to Tarik Skubal's 195.1. Now, granted, this is also incorporating that postseason start that he would have made, and same with Skubal, who also pitched in the postseason. In terms of wins above replacement, so essentially what this means is that if you take a replacement player, would that player win you more or less games than the player? So, for example, Tarik Skubal's wins above replacement is a 6.5, which is first. So essentially what that means is that the Tigers were winning about 6 or 7 more games with Skubal than they would have if they had a replacement pitcher in his spot. Crochet was fourth in that category with a 5.6 wins above replacement. So not too far behind, but still not quite where Skubal was in that category. In terms of whip, Tarik Skubal had a 0.89 whip, which is very, very good. Garrett Crochet was 7th in whip with a 1.05. So obviously not, again, super far off, but far off enough. And what exactly is whip? Whip stands for walks plus hits per inning pitched. So essentially, it's a statistic that measures how many base runners a pitcher allows per inning through walks and hits. In order to calculate it, you just add the total number of walks and hits a pitcher gives up, and then divide that sum by the total number of innings they have pitched. A lower whip indicates a more efficient and effective pitcher. So that right there is going to be one of the most important stats to take into account with all of this is that Skubal was a little bit more consistent when it came to not giving up as many walks and as many hits as Crochet did, which overall meant that Skubal had some cleaner outings than Crochet did, which could hold Crochet back from this. Strikeouts per 9 innings, Skubal had 11.1. Crochet had 11.4. So obviously not much of a difference there, but from a strikeout perspective, Crochet definitely leads the way in those categories. And then in terms of strikeouts to walk ratio, Skubal again leads that category with a 7.3 strikeout to walk ratio. Garrett Crochet is 5.54. So that essentially means that Tarik Skubal is striking out about 7 batters for every walk he issues, whereas Crochet is striking out about 5 before giving up a walk. So he's giving up walks more frequently. So therefore, that again shows that Skubal was a little bit more efficient, which ultimately is likely what's going to put him on top for that Cy Young award. Skubal's superior ERA and whip give him a huge advantage in efficiency, which was a key part of his Cy Young case, but Crochet's volume in terms of having more strikeouts and innings pitched put him in that position to win the Cy Young because he has a significant edge over Skubal in that category. Team success is a tough one because you can't really control who is on your team around you if you're a pitcher. The Tigers' strong position in the standings, helped by Skubal, was a major factor in the Cy Young race too, while Crochet's chances were tied to the Boston Red Sox making the postseason. So they do take team performance into account. I don't think they should, but they do. But those are the key differences between the two of them. And it's just an interesting discussion because they're both so deserving. Whether one gets it or the other, they both are deserving of it. So people shouldn't be upset regardless of who wins. The Tigers ace did win the Cy Young Award last season, but Garrett Crochet definitely has the potential to win multiple Cy Young Awards over the course of his career. Skubal suffered an oblique injury that knocked him out of his last start, but even despite that, it felt like he had the Cy Young all but one. But Crochet has had some really lights out outings over the course of the 2025 season that we didn't really see from Skubal. Like some unbelievable outings that Garrett Crochet produced that Skubal didn't necessarily come out with. So when we're looking at specific matchups, we can pinpoint a couple more Garrett Crochet starts that were superior than Skubal. But if the importance is more on overall efficiency, Skubal likely takes the cake because of those two specific stats that I pointed out regarding his efficiency with his ERA and his whip. So ultimately, Skubal probably will win it, but there's no denying the fact that Garrett Crochet truly is still an ace. And he's somebody that the Red Sox should feel really lucky to have. So we'll have to see what happens when those results come out. But coming up, another special player for this Red Sox team in 2025 was Roman Anthony. What exactly was his impact? If you're looking to start making sports bets, or maybe you already do, use FanDuel. Download the app today to get so many good deals on parlays and bets that you can make, especially with it being NBA, NHL, NFL all in season right now. Now is the perfect time to get in on the action if you haven't yet. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. The main reason why I love FanDuel so much is because it allows you to win so much money. So make sure you download it today. Also, thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Truly would not be able to do it without your constant support. And you can continue to support Locked On by tuning into Locked On MLB after this with host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully, who will break down everything going on across the entire league. So if you want to hear more about other players that may be on the trading block from other teams, that's a good show for you to check out. So check that out on any podcast platform right after you finish this. Roman Anthony When we hear his name, the first thing that people think of is stud, superstar in the making, face of the Boston Red Sox franchise, just made a ton of money on an extension. That is absolutely all true. I don't know what the Red Sox would have done without Roman, quite frankly. He became the leadoff hitter for this Boston Red Sox team, and he excelled in that role. The Red Sox were scoring a lot of runs with him hitting leadoff, and it was just a good time to be a Red Sox fan. And then when he got injured, it was a noticeable difference in the offense. They were failing to score with runners in scoring position, and they were just not getting a lot of those big hits that they really needed. And Roman not being in the lineup was a part of that. So he got called up to the Red Sox in June to make his debut. And it was very apparent that ever since then, the Red Sox really needed him and were relying on him to be the guy in that lineup. So what makes Roman Anthony so special? So many different aspects of his game, particularly his plate discipline that's so mature beyond his years. Having that swing recognition of understanding when he should swing and when he shouldn't was a big thing that stood out about Roman Anthony that was able to help him succeed at the highest level, because he didn't strike out as much as you might see people strike out because of having that plate discipline. Now, he does need to work on the off-speed pitches a little bit and swinging at those or not swinging at those, depending on what the pitch is, and being able to make a little bit better contact against left-handed pitching in particular. But overall, he is certainly a superstar in the making. However, he unfortunately did not win Rookie of the Year. He earned a third place finish, which does impact his contract situation later on. So Anthony finished third for the award behind first baseman Nick Kurtz and shortstop Jacob Wilson. Kurtz won the award unanimously. No surprise there. Everybody figured that was going to happen. Kurtz was seen as a frontrunner for the award for the majority of the season after truly one of the best rookie years in recent MLB history. He ended with a .290 batting average, 36 home runs, and 86 RBIs. With him receiving all 30 first place votes, it was a race between Roman and Wilson for second place. And then Wilson ended up claiming silver by a good margin, getting 23 second place votes compared to Roman's 3. So definitely an underwhelming finish for him, but that does not take away at all from the impressive season he had. After making his debut on June 9th, he hit .292 in 71 games, as well as hitting 8 home runs and driving in 32 before he got hurt. Even with his season being cut short due to that oblique injury, he did enough to put himself in consideration even for Rookie of the Year, which is impressive in itself, given that he didn't really play in that many games in the whole grand scheme of things. Alex Cora said he's a great at bat. He's a great base runner. The kid became a monster in the outfield. He was a plus defender. So Cora speaks really highly of him and knows he's going to be very valuable moving forward. And while in the minor leagues, he was tapped as the top prospect in baseball by multiple rankings, and he definitely has lived up to the hype of that. He's consistently been seen as a great hitter, but it was going to be a question of if that was going to translate to the majors, and it certainly did. But what Alex Cora was most impressed by was his improvements defensively. So he's really, truly starting to become a really good all-around baseball player, which is huge. Coming in third did have an impact monetarily for him, because had he come in second, he would have gotten $3 million in bonuses for 2031 to 33, which was part of the deal when he signed the extension with the Red Sox, that it was dependent on how he finished in Rookie of the Year voting. So because he finished in third, he's not going to get those bonuses, but his season still earned him an 8-year extension with the Red Sox that he signed in August worth $130 million. So definitely no shame in being Roman Anthony right now. And honestly, not winning Rookie of the Year will probably subconsciously get him to work even harder. He's not going to come out and say, wow, I wish I won Rookie of the Year, but it's natural for a player to feel that inkling of, I want to prove people wrong if they fall short, especially when they came that close. And now he's healthy and ready to go. It's been confirmed by the Red Sox, so he'll be ready for spring training, ready to come back better than ever. And he's going to want to go out there and say, hey, I'm still here. I have a great future in this league. I can't wait to show you what I can truly do. at my peak. And now that he has major league experience under his belt, I expect him to just continue to soar from here, because early on for players, it can be really nerve-wracking when they're getting that first exposure to being in the majors, not really knowing what to expect, and they're probably super nervous by it. But now that he got those nerves out of the way, he's experienced playing at Fenway, he should be ready to go for a really solid 2026 season, in which hopefully he can show the world that he can be, or has the capability at least, to be a top 5 player in Major League Baseball. So I'm really excited to see where things go for him and how things look for him in 2026 and beyond. So thank you very much, as always, for tuning into Locked On Red Sox. Keep an eye out for Roman Anthony news, or Triston Casas news, or Garrett Crochet with Cy Young. Everything that I talked about today, keep an eye out for that. And as always, keep the faith. Go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.